TalkativeChic Podcast. Today's guest is Jhovany Diaz. He is a podcaster in Chicago. He has Loboden Podcast, and he's also a comedian. You can catch him out in shows. He's been doing a couple roast battle Chicagos recently. He has a beautiful 1-year-old son with his girlfriend Jessica, and we talked relationships, we talked comedy, we talked life stuff. It was a great time, and I was so glad to have him on the TalkativeChic Podcast. Enjoy. Today's guest is none other than Jhovany Diaz. How you doing, Jhovany?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. I met you actually through social media. It's funny. Zuckerberg is credit.
That's how I met my girlfriend. So
There
social
you
media,
go.
doing her DMs.
There you go. I knew you were like producing a show in Chicago at Zany's.
Mezcal Mondays,
which is a
Zany's.
great name, by
Every
the way.
Monday. It doesn't exist anymore.
I know, unfortunately. But I loved the name, even though I don't drink mezcal. I'm a tequila person, but yeah, I loved the name of it. And then, so I couldn't get on it. And then I was like, hey,
I was like,
don't.
hell no. I don't want no Latin women. No, that's not what happened.
No, you were like, I'm not in charge of it anymore, blah, blah. And then I was like, I don't know if I'm famous enough to get on your podcast. And then, because you have like all these Chicago comedians on
But
there.
then you were, I asked you something, right? Like, I asked you like a question about that, or you gave me like your little list.
Yeah, I gave you like interesting things about me.
And I was like, let's do it. Like this Sunday or next Sunday.
That was like super cool. I was like, yes, I'm going to get on there.
Because I talk about it on the podcast. People message me. Like when I was doing Mezcal Monday, people would message. One dude messaged me. He's like, yo, bro, how do I get on that Zany stage? And it's
Yeah.
like, really? Like,
Yeah.
or I'll do a podcast with somebody, and afterwards I'm like, hey, I'm going to release it. You want to, promote or do anything?
Yeah.
Thumbs up. Or like I ask them questions like, hey,
Yeah.
give me a picture and this and that. And just like, that's it. You know what I mean? But you
Right.
and other guests that kind of, you gave me like, hey, I did this and that. Like, oh, she's on top of it. Like, absolutely. And the head opening.
Oh, cool.
Like, think about, what is it? Luck is opportunity meets hard work or dedication.
Oh,
like
yeah.
there's an opening, it's there.
Yeah.
And it shows like, all right, she's on top of her shit. Yeah, let's do it. Like versus
Yeah.
like somebody messaged me a few weeks ago and then they just kind of messaged me and then it happened to be open. It happens, I think, with bookings and clubs. Like, all right, I looked at his stuff. Yeah, he's been grinding. I see him. All right, let's get him on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I think it happens the same way we get booked at clubs. Like people see that and they like it.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, let's give
That's
this a
true.
shot versus, what up? I don't know you.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about it, how I was like thinking about how I was going to say it. And even to this day when I try to get on a show or whatever for like comedy, I'm like, I try to really phrase it, or I try to be really funny in it. So they're like, oh, okay, well, she made me laugh. She must be
That's
funny,
smart.
So yeah. But, and then now like we voice clip and stuff, and you've given me like a lot of tips on comedy and producing and all of that, which I really appreciate, by the way, because I feel like sometimes it's easy to make friends in comedy and sometimes it's not.
Comedy's full of a bunch of weirdo, bipolar, depressed, narcissistic, like,
Yeah.
and then some people are just like homeless people that just show up at a mic. It's, like comics, and they're very sensitive,
Yeah.
and it's very odd. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that I've always worked and had a full-time job, and then I would kind of do the comedies. I wasn't in the scene. I wasn't hanging too much.
Yeah.
Because they're insane. Those people are like, and they're my friends. I love them, and I
Right,
don't. You know what I
right.
mean? Because we don't agree with a lot of things, at least like politically, not at all.
Yeah.
So but they're still my friends, but they're crazy. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I'm there. I say hi, we hang out a little bit, and then get my ass home.
And now you're pretty much concentrating on your podcast, which is a Loboden podcast.
Yes, I have a podcast, the Loboden, out basically Monday, every week. Mostly Chicago comedians. I've had a few regular people. I don't know how I feel about that, but I'll keep it to comics, and I'm trying to get more interesting people.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm episode 99. Everybody, if anybody wants to see it.
Yes, episode
So yeah, I think
99.
it was a really good episode.
I liked it. We
was
talked.
really
We
cool.
talked about you gambling. We talked about your dad, our
Yeah.
dads. We talked about
Yeah,
I
our
don't know if we
dads.
talked- wow.
Yeah, the connection of our dads, like they were like a lot alike and stuff like that. And then you had similarities to my dad.
Yeah, I
and-
was like, oh
was
my god, that's
interesting.
me, because I used to be kind of wild or whatever, and then I kind of,
Yeah.
I've basically calmed down. I met my girlfriend. I was like,
Yeah.
and so now I'm not as bad.
So like when you were like starting out in comedy, okay, or what got you to want to start?
My dog died,
Comedy.
and me and my girlfriend broke up at the time.
Oh, wow.
So Yeah, that's what happened. So I wanted to do comedy for a long time. I would email myself jokes for years. I got into comedy because we had a black box, which was free cable. You connect the black box, and then we had free cable.
Okay.
So I got to watch Comedy Central, and I would watch all this stand-up. And I was like, oh, this is cool. I've always liked it, and I think about it.
Yeah.
And I was getting older. I was like, oh, maybe I could do it one day. I don't know, try it out. Just for like 2-3 years on emailing on my Hotmail account, emailing myself jokes.
Okay.
And then... So what happened was I started going to mics. So I got inspired how I feel a lot of people get inspired. I saw bad comedy. And it's like, 'cause, you see comedy on TV, and I can't do that. But then I went to an open mic and I'm like, I'm better than her. I'm better than him. Like, why am I not doing this? And that really kind of like, I saw a guy in South Texas with a friend and I was like, I'm better than him. I know, like, I can do better than this guy.
That's cool.
So I didn't go to any, I went to the Laugh Factory open mic just to watch, and I went to this kind of open mic-ish thing at Zany's, who actually Dobie Maxwell was hosting, who was now a guest on my podcast.
Okay.
And I was kind of watching, and I was like, those guys were actually more polished, but the Laugh Factory one, I saw this one girl, and it was like, what is this? It was like, I didn't realize people could just go up and do stuff like that. So I didn't think about it. It's in the back of my head. And then my dog died, basically. So
it was like tragedy hit. And then you were like,
dog got hit by a car. I was at my friend's grandpa's funeral. We're at the wake, and I get a call the dog got hit. So I go over there. The dog's fine. We take him to the hospital. We think it's good. He goes back home that night. She calls me. It's like 1 a.m. It's like, hey, he's panting or whatever. He's like going up. He's like going back and forth. So I drive over there. We drive to the ER hospital, the dog hospital, and then as he's going, he like collapses. He dies, and then they're like, oh, that's going to be $200. And if you want us to take him, it'll be $500. It'll be this. And I was just like,
what?
I was like,
I didn't know they charged more when they took him.
Yeah.
What?
And I was like, you know what? Give me my dog. We're going to, I told her, we're going to Walmart. Got shovels and a poncho because it was raining. And I was like, I'm going to bury him myself. I took, it stopped raining. And then I ended up, I dug this. You got to go 4 feet at least, because if you go within 2, you get critters come and they'll take them out and eat them.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so you got to go at least 4 feet or 5. I forgot the number. So I buried him and I had him, and I had my some type of closure. But I remember when nobody ever died close in my life. And nothing. That dog was the first thing close to me that died. So I remember I was holding the body and it was dead. It was so weird.
Yeah.
It was like, as it wasn't move, it was stiff. And I was like, I was like, man, you can die. You can go anytime, And I was like, holy shit. Next week, I went, I didn't do a mic. The story is I was going to go do a mic. I went to Shubas, which is in the city, and I went to go sign up for the mic. But I don't drink now when I perform, but I had some booze in my car, some Dewar's whiskey. I drink whiskey, and it was so I drank Dewar's. I drink Black Label now. I was younger. I didn't know any better, so I was drinking this Dewar's, which isn't bad, but I was drinking it, and I got up there and I signed up, and I saw the list. And then I had some more beers, and I kind of saw the list, but it was a giant list, and I kind of pretended when you pretend you see it, but you don't because you really don't want to. So and I'm just sitting there, and I'm like, I'm so deep in the list, and I see how far I am, and I watch a few people, and I was like, I can't do this. So I leave. I start driving to a strip club, right? Straight to a strip club, right? I'm like, I'm bummed out, so I drive to a strip club.
I think I heard this story.
Yeah. And I look at the strip club. I start looking at the reviews, and it's like, oh, they have. The guys there are great, and I'm like, oh,
so you just left the open mic?
I left the open mic, got in my car.
Why?
Straight to
because you were like,
because I was 30th or something like that, and I was watching the pace. I was like, this is gonna be forever. I was like, I'm not doing this.
It's gonna take forever.
And then I'm already kind of and I drank more, and I was always kind of scared. I was like, I'm not gonna do it. So then I went gay strip club. So I went to another one. Lied to the stripper, said I was a comedian, and I'm there lying to it. And I got in with a coupon too. I remember they were charging me something, and I went out and I signed up for their e-club, and I was like, look, I have a coupon. They let me in. Then I went to McDonald's, fish fillet, Big Mac, nuggets.
McDonald's is
I went out with a bang, and then but then the next week I went to Shuba's open mic.
Okay.
And then I never. For up until COVID hit, then I didn't stop. I was there almost every night.
Oh my God!
But that first night, I needed.
Okay, did you ever tell your friends or anyone that you're like, I'm doing stand up? Did you ever announce it to anyone? I'm going to do be a comedian?
When I went to Shuba's that first mic, my cousin and her husband went.
Oh, okay.
They went with me, but I told them they wanted to go with me, and I told them, look, you can go, but you can't watch me. Was my rule.
Oh.
Yeah, you can't, because it was my first time. I was really nervous. It's and I remember I heard Bill Burr say something about, have 10 minutes ready. But then I didn't. All these mics are 4 and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's like I should have had that. I wasn't as familiar with the scene, how everything worked.
Right.
So I remember they were there and they were like getting close to me on the lifts, three mics ahead, and then they thought, and I was like 2 comics ahead. I was like, look, remember we talked about earlier? Like, I'm serious. You have to get out, get out, go. And they didn't believe me. They're like, for real? I was like, no, you need to go. I was being serious.
Right.
And I went and I did my set, and it was horrible. It was first year. It was just horrible. Not only was the comedy horrible, my stage presence, my time, everything was bad. And like what the stuff I talked about was horrible. Like if you go to open mic and you see some white dude saying horrible things sexually and about everything else, death and whatever, that was me. You know what I mean? That's that guy they talk about on Facebook posts like, oh my God, can you believe what that guy said? That was me. I didn't know. I'm trying to figure out my voice, trying to figure out what's funny.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
And it took a while I didn't talk about anything about myself for like until maybe a third year in. It was just a bunch of silly nonsense.
Okay.
And then, but I slowly would tell people, like sometimes they would come to mics, and I produced a few shows in Waukegan, my first shows, and I brought people to that and things like that. But but slowly. But at the beginning, I didn't want. I was like, I want to get decent or good.
Yeah, so I was just wondering because like I wanted to know what people's comments were to you, and like you said, I want to be a comedian, but it kind of really didn't happen that way. You were kind of doing it and not really.
Well, my friends, I would tell them because we would talk. All my friends, all of my close friends, they all moved. Okay. We all talk on the phone. I'm like the guy in the middle where they call me and I conference them in and we're all kind of on the phone with each other.
Oh, cool.
And I would tell them, and they always kind of knew because they would push me like, why don't you do it? Like, you're funny.
Yeah.
So,
good.
So I'd get put, and I'm like, yeah.
That's great that they were supportive.
Yeah.
That's the reason I was asking because like, I told some people, well, it was always swirling in my brain. Like I went to Second City, did acting, but it was always in like in the back burner. Like, man, I want to do comedy. I don't want to, But it's those things like you're like, am I funny enough? Could I do it? Like, I don't know. Do I need a class? Like, I mean, I had all these like thoughts, and then finally, like the pandemic hit, and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm dying socially here. Like, I can't go out with any, like it was just terrible for me. And then Indiana kind of was always more open than Chicago.
I live in Wisconsin. I know.
Okay, yeah. It's like paired up, Wisconsin and Indiana. And I have a friend that's a DJ, and I was like, hey, man, do you think that like at the bar you DJ at, can I do some like stand-up comedy for free? And he's like, yeah, I mean, if you're going to do it for free, I'm sure she's going to say yes, So we talked to her, and I did like a little show, and then like my family came, which was really super cool. It was like a surprise. I wasn't expecting that. And it went well, and I was like, okay. But I remember like years before that, like I would tell people, even close friends. And I mean, the comments that I got back were just so like deafening. Like one friend, I was like, man, I think I want to try stand-up. And she's like, you have to be really funny to be a comedian.
Are these Hispanic friends?
Yes.
Okay. Because this just happened at my baby shower the other day.
Oh, wow.
I think I told you it was my cousin who lost a bunch of weight, and her mom's like, my mom goes up. Oh, no,
I didn't hear the story.
So my cousin goes up, Hispanic family, very blunt. Like, my cousin goes out to me. I don't recognize her, right? She just starts talking to me, and I'm like, oh, yeah. Well, she said, Jhovany, so, I'm so glad the baby. And I'm just like, who is this woman? Like, I don't know who she is.
Oh my God.
And I turned to my other cousin and I was like, man, hey, do you know who this is?
Yeah.
She's like, it's my sister. And I was like, which one? My only sister I have. And I was like, oh. And I didn't even recognize it. I didn't realize it was you. She's like, oh, that's why you're acting so weird. I was like, oh yeah, what's up, blah, blah, blah. And then my mom, she lost a bunch of weight. And my mom goes up to her. She's like, oh my God. Like, Sammy, you're so skinny now and pretty. And I'm like, I am pretty. Like,
that's really.
Was she ugly? People like,
did her face change?
She was like, oh yeah. And then her mom comes. She's like, oh my God, you see my daughter? Remember how fat she was? Like,
oh my God.
Está bien gorda, ¿verdad? Right? And I talked to Sammy. I was like, man.
Blunt.
I pulled her aside. I was like, did you just see what happened? Like, my mom and your mom. She's like, I know. Like, I was like, very like.
Yeah, I guess it is a Hispanic culture. Yeah,
my friend's Polish too. I think it's a foreigner thing.
It is a foreigner thing. I think white people are probably like, oh, go for it, live your dreams, be yourself.
Yeah.
Tell your truth.
She's like, no, that's chistoso, like funny, like because my friends were all from
funny.
here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm sure if it was cousin from Mexico, I was like, man, you're funny. Like, what do you mean? I'm funnier than you. I've gotten that from
that's so funny
non-friends who were foreigners.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense now. Now I there's a definite link with that. I know, like when I got my first Mikey O show and I put up the flyer or whatever, like my brother, not the one that's here, the other one, he's like, he calls me up and he's like, hey, this looks like it's serious. He's like, you better be funny. They're not messing around over there. He's like, this looks like
it's definitely not white people.
And I mean, I was already like, God, I gotta do a good job. And then I mean, that pressure, I was like, oh my God, he's right. It's not, it was just crazy. And I just was wondering how, but yeah, it's definitely, now you made a point. It's definitely like ethnicity.
White people are very supportive of everything you do and stuff. Like, oh my God, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's very true. Oh my gosh, yeah.
My mom's never seen me do comedy.
Really?
Never. Like,
okay, she speaks English fluently, right?
No, not at all. No.
Oh, well, that makes sense that she hasn't seen your comedy.
But it's like, I figured she would come to, and my mom's a nice lady, and I help her out, I love her. Like, my dad, he hasn't seen me either, but he's on vacation right now forever in Mexico. Well, he got deported by Obama.
You'd have to go do stand up in Mexico somewhere.
Yeah, but like, no, but I think they listen. I have good listenership in Mexico. It's like U.S.
Really?
If I look at my numbers, it's like U.S. and Mexico is number 2.
Okay.
The other day, I was like, somebody in Senegal listened to an episode like 2 days ago, and I was like,
wow.
But no,
that's super cool.
Yeah, my mom's never been like when I produce these shows. There's one local show in this place called La Calle.
Yeah.
Like I was that one. I was like, come to this one, like, because I knew. I had a feeling like this is gonna be maybe my last one for a while.
Oh, okay.
Because remember that's the one I did. I don't know if I told you. I did that one for the money.
Okay.
Because at that point I was like, I didn't feel like doing stand up, but I got offered this, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make money off of this, and good money. Because before I never cared about the money, but in that one I was like, I'm producing this one. Yeah. Because I want to make money, and I did, and I made good money on it, and I did it. Yeah. But it was good. It's satisfying. Yeah, you produce shows. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Stressful. It's a lot of headaches. Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of headaches. That's why I hate doing it. But
it's a lot.
But
I try to keep my cool, and I try not to tell anybody that. Like when I'm at the show, I'm like, hey, hi, what's going on? But inside I'm like, I really hope this works out.
Yeah, but it's like, but no, she's never been to any of them. So
yeah, wow, interesting. Yeah, huh?
My sister's been to one. She was in that one. I was yelling at her. She was. Like being loud, you know what I mean? And it's like, and they were friends, so they're being loud, so I had to go talk. I was like, hey,
like, dude, like, don't heckle at my show.
You know what I mean? I got into it.
I wish I would have came to your show if I had known that was going to be the last one you were going to do. I would have come.
I'm sure I'll do some stuff here and there.
Yeah.
But like, remember, I kind of stopped writing after the pandemic, so I have my same set, or if I do crowd work, that's fun actually. Yeah, that's fun. But when there's a point where I'm doing the same stuff over and over, there was a point where I was like, that's why I quit Mescot Monday, because I was like, I'm not writing. And I was like, but I stayed on. I was like, I'm going to start writing, and then I didn't. And I was like, so I called Brian Morton, who was a manager at Zany's, and I told him, I was like, hey man, I kind of told him, hey, I'm going to step away. I was going to have a kid, and I was kind of stepping away from that. And I told him because, not writing, because that was fun for me. That was the funnest part, was writing and like creating new stuff. That was that was like super fun for me.
Oh, I love that too. I love when you have a concept and then you share it with somebody and they're like, oh, that's funny, or that's good, or that sounds good. Like you're okay. I have something here. It sounds like I have something to work with.
And it's like a baby, seeing it grow. Like and it's cool. I'd be a Mike, so I'd see like. I remember his name is Dave Hillam. He's out in L.A. now. He comes to Chicago all the time. He has like once a month he does a show at North Bar. Great show with great comics. But I think he's been on shows and stuff. But I remember, and I brought him out to those Waukegan shows I did. Dave Hillam, I remember. But I remember I saw him at a mic and kind of working on his joke about his dad or something. And I remember I saw him at my show or something, and I saw when it grew, when it was kind of there and blossom. I saw it in the beginning, was figuring it out, and it's like that was always super fun for me. So
yeah, that is super cool. I think that's only happened. I mean, I try to get to Chicago, but like I have a full-time job, and I mean I try to getting out there more. But you just had Claire Sunby, and I saw that
Sunby, right?
Sunby, yeah, because I've been saying Sunby forever.
Yeah,
and then when you said Sunby, I was like, oh, it's Sunby.
Because I asked right before, I was like, what is it? And I was like, oh, it's spelled by.
I heard her at my buddies, one of the first my buddies I did, and she said she wasn't even supposed to go up, but I guess like some people didn't show up, and then they asked her to come in, and she goes, you know what, this is new material, whatever. Like she told the audience, and she did a set, and then I saw her at a Woman's Crush Wednesdays at my buddies, and she did that part, and it was like
Oh, so much
amazing.
Better, right?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, the way she crafted that was super cool. So yeah, I like it. And even when I went to see Chelsea Handler, like each time she does it, it's a little different. And you're like, oh, she didn't tell this, but she said this. But I mean, she's crushing it every time. But it's like, yeah, just to see that variation is really super cool, like as a comic.
Yeah, I love seeing develop, and I love like different, like, so I lived in the suburbs, and I would perform Chicago, suburbs, Wisconsin, everywhere. So I've been in all kinds of rooms, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of Chicago comics.
You were in comedy, like, how long? It's like
I'd say good 6 years.
Yeah.
So, like, consistently 6 years up until March. What is it? When was COVID? 2021? What year are we in now?
No, it was COVID was 2020.
Oh, was it 2020?
When the lockdown? I think it was like March 16th or 17th. Because it was right after my birthday. Like I celebrated my birthday for a month, but technically I really celebrated my birthday. And then it was like bam, the lockdown.
Yeah, right after the Irish holiday, whatever that is. Is it coming up?
Was
the
it
green
St.
one?
Patrick's?
St. Patrick's Day. Yeah. St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I guess it is coming up.
Because it was that weekend. And people went out, and then Lori Lightfoot, was she still not president, the mayor of Chicago?
Yeah, she was.
She was like, we're locking you guys down.
And I remember they were locking down.
Only for 2 weeks, right?
Monday.
Is it 2 weeks still going on?
Yeah.
So what is it, to flatten the curve?
Still waiting. But yeah, she locked down on Monday, and then I remember texting my friend and saying like, we got to go out to Indiana Tuesday because like Indiana's still open. Like we got to just go out. And then they shut it, and we didn't get to go out because like they shut it. They made an announcement, I think Monday, that they were shutting it down Tuesday. But then Indiana kind of got like whatever and kept opening up.
Florida, like come on.
Yeah, they're just like the Republican states.
Like no, we're not doing all this.
Happen. Okay, so then you found like you've got your girl, right, and you are going to be a dad soon.
Allegedly, yeah.
Allegedly.
No, I say that because people like ask me like, how does it feel? And I'm like, I don't know how it feels.
Okay.
Because I don't like. I know she's pregnant, but I don't. I don't feel it. It hasn't hit me. It hit me twice.
Really?
It hit me when I found out she was pregnant.
Okay, yeah. Now, was it a shot? Like you guys weren't trying, obviously.
We were aggressively trying.
Oh, really?
Super trying. Like, not to be too explicit.
Yeah.
But like we tried. Yeah, we. I remember one day I tried.
So
4
you were
times.
trying to get pregnant.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, like aggressively. Okay. So what happened was,
I thought you were joking, like, we were doing what we were, supposed to be doing.
No, like she held her legs up and stayed in the position, like a whole thing. You know what I mean? Like
she didn't hop up and down afterward.
whatever. Yeah, whatever. I was
people
like,
tell
I
you.
held her leg. Yeah, like,
yeah.
Okay, whatever.
This is going to happen.
Because looked at the. I bought this ovulation thing.
Oh, that was smart.
Oh no, I didn't. I bought
maybe not.
I did buy it, but I bought one at the Dollar Tree, and she's like, "Come on."
Yeah, the Dollar Tree's gonna be nasty.
And she looked at me like, I was like, "Man, it's $1. It's $1.25 now." But no, because the first month we tried, right?
Okay.
And then she was late in her period, so I thought she was pregnant. And I was like, all right, cool. But then she got her period, and I got really I really got depressed. I was like, what? Because then I thought like, oh my God, I knew it. I can't have kids. I knew because I've never I used to mess around a lot.
Yeah.
And then condoms, what's that? So then I never had a scare, and it kind of like. So in the back of my head, I always thought like maybe I can have kids or something like that. And then when that happened that first time, I was like, oh my God, I can't.
Yeah.
And it just, you feel like, man, I'm not a man, and all this stuff was going on, and it was like I was so
terrible thoughts.
Yeah, and I was so. She's like, oh, it's just I told my friends, I was like, well, it's just the first time. It was the first time we tried.
Oh, okay.
And then, but then next month, then she was pregnant. I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Cool. And then when I found, I cried when I found out I was in the bathroom with a non-Dollar Tree. I think I have it in my fanny pack. Let's see. I think.
Oh no, you do not.
Sure.
You actually have the exact thing. Wow, you kept it.
You know what? I think I just took a bunch of stuff
within
out.
A bunch of pens and stuff.
Oh, here it is.
Oh my God, you have it.
I took out the strip. That's
really, thank you.
Well, I had it on here, but I was at work, and she's like, "Isn't that?" The lady at work was like, "Isn't that a strip that you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll take it out." All right. No, but this is the one.
I won't. I don't want to
see what else is on it. No, in there. No, you don't want.
No, but wow, that's amazing.
No, so I found out, and I was in there, and it hit me.
What a big deal.
Yeah, and it hit me, and then we went to see the first ultrasound. It hit me. I was like, I was there, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna pass out because when I started watching the ultrasound, it started getting kind of blurry and things, and I was like, whoa, and I was like, so I. Pretty sure I'm gonna pass out when we have the baby because we were the other day. We were in the hospital. Just because this pregnancy has been horrible. Like she's been fine and healthy, but it's been super tough. Vertical hospital, like almost every other week.
Yeah, you were
can't hold down
food.
Yeah. And I was there, and we're in the birthing room because they just put us in that room.
Okay.
And I go and I'm walking around where the bathtub is, and I'm just walking around in the room, and I'm like kind of like getting dizzy, like
wow, yeah. So is it like anxiety or kind of just?
I don't even know.
The unknown.
Maybe I don't know what it is, but I just like. So I think I'm gonna pass.
I'm glad you're gonna have your baby at a hospital. There's a lot of people that have him at home.
Oh,
and I don't know. That's kind of. I mean, it's kind of scary. Yeah, I don't know.
No, she's half white. We ain't doing that. She wants like.
Yeah, I mean, if I ever had a child, I would be like, doctor, like, I want somebody that's professional.
Yeah, it's a big, like, you know, people just die all the time haven't given birth. You know,
there's a movie about that. Shia LaBeouf is in a movie, which he's kind of gotten, like, kind of canceled.
He used to be like me.
But I think it's Netflix, and I can't remember, but it was such a good movie, and they had it at home, and something went wrong, and they didn't make it, and they lost the baby, and they had a doula and everything. And it was just it's kind of a depressing movie, but I mean his acting was amazing in it. But like it was pretty depressing, but probably not the thing for you to watch.
No,
not at this moment. But you were at least could be at a hospital, which was super cool.
Did you see quick side? Did you see that movie he did when he was like a cholo or whatever? Did you ever see it? Anybody ever see that movie? He played like some East LA cholo or something.
I don't remember that.
Okay.
No. Is this way before like Transformers?
No, it was after. It was like 2 years ago. Maybe this was it came out during COVID.
So it wasn't The Boy, right? The one where he's like, he plays his dad?
No, he plays like one of the... They're in East LA. There are these gangs in LA.
Okay, I need to see this.
He's just asking. And it looks cool.
How did they casted him for that? I guess he's just a white East LA'er? Like I was like Hispanic.
There was a little bit of controversy. They go, this is brown face. Like, shut up. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Remember Selena was Puerto Rican. Like, everybody got mad. Just shut your mouth. But the movie was so bad.
Wow.
It started off so good. Like how everybody was dressed and everything in his voice. And then it felt like it was written by like a middle school kid, like, oh, let's do it like that. This is it was bad. Okay, you didn't see it, so
no, I didn't see it, but I'm gonna check it out. I actually really like Shia LaBeouf a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know he's gotten a lot of heat for stuff, but yeah.
That's what happens. You come from like a messed up home. You're fighting your demons.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That one movie he's in. I know it says the word boys in it, but like that dad treated him like just. I mean, it was bad.
Like I was just listening to a thing about Axl right now on the way up here because I was.
Axl Rose? Okay, yeah.
So Axl, he was abused for like 20 years. His sister was molested by the stepdad.
Oh.
And and then
I did not know that.
I was listening to some stuff about Slash right now too. And then the Crew, Motley Crue. I was listening to a bunch of. I get into my moves and stuff I like to watch and listen.
Yeah. So what was it, a podcast about them?
No, just YouTube.
Oh, okay, YouTube. Yeah.
There,
I know. Yeah. Wow. I'm actually gonna see Slash this week or next week or something. I have like 2 concerts with him. Like
I didn't know he was half black, half white.
Yeah,
and his mom dated David
Bowie
for a year.
Yeah, and he would come around and stuff like that.
David called him when he was now he's drug free, but Slash was now he has to use a heart thing.
Oh yeah, he's got a defibrillator.
Yeah, because too many drugs. I mean,
yeah, probably. And then I think his mom also dated, like, is it Geffen? Is it David Geffen from Geffen Records? Yeah.
Okay.
Because like they were dating. Okay, so I see every documentary with Slash in it, but they were dating, and then he was just starting out, I believe, in Guns N' Roses. But he was going by Slash, and Geffen knew him as Hudson. What is it? Sal?
I don't know his real name.
I know, crap. I think it's Sal Hudson. And so Geffen's like, who's this? Because even though you're at the top, people are making records, and you probably don't even know what's going on. Like you have all these agents or whatever. And then he found out that it was him, and he's like, I know this guy, and so like
doing his mom.
Yeah, and then he was trying to he was trying to convince him to do like a different version of Sweet Child of Mine, like something else, just to make more money, because it was and Slash was like, he didn't know that I didn't give a crap about the money. Like I was not there about the money.
I didn't care. Like when I started comedy, did not care.
Yeah.
Do not care. And like the podcast, now I'm trying to monetize it more, but like my main thing is like, your art. This is your art.
I agree with you. I think it doesn't work if it's about the money. Yeah. Because like I wasn't either. I did free shows, and then like I did that bar one time, but then it's hard because it's a bar. Like I learned that about you. Like you were like, we closed it out and we sold tickets because it was just kind of like free, and nobody was paying attention after a while. And we're like, man, and I felt so bad for the comedians. I'm like, oh God, like no one's listening. And
free doesn't work in anything.
Yeah, I had to actually train myself to turn. Like I turned
I would do my set here and I would turn the TV on like really high so that I would have that distraction, so that I knew that when I went into that bar, if anybody was talking, I could just keep going. I could just keep going and going and going and not care, Yeah, so it was messed up though. But yeah, I mean, I do like Chicago shows. I mean, the producing is cool because it gives me a stage along with doing it and then hanging out with comics. I mean, I love that.
It's and you learn about comedy when you're on the other side.
Yeah,
it's like there's so much you learn just by producing a show. Like when I was doing comedy and I would try to get on shows, and I was like, how come they're not booking me? And blah blah blah. I was like, they don't like me, but they're booking them. And you produce your first show. It's like, oh, I get it. Like maybe they want to, but there's so many people. There's so much going on. Like there's comics I like, and I would love. Me personally, I like to watch. But I was like, man, they're not right for this room. You know what I mean? Because I have a very dark sense of humor. What I enjoy is horrible. It's the worst. My girlfriend looks at me sometimes, and it's like,
I know. And we've talked about that.
Yeah, it's so bad. Yeah, it's so bad. It's really bad. But it's like I feel bad sometimes. Like I shouldn't be laughing at this, but I can't. It's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm open-minded though. I don't judge. You know what I mean? Like Eric Emerson, I saw him at my buddy's. Oh my God! I mean, I needed to I wanted to take a shower. Yeah, he's in Loboden. I wanted to take a shower afterwards. I'm like, this is like the dirtiest shit. But I mean, he's a great comic, and I mean, I respect him, and I'm like, hey, like, I mean, I laughed. I mean, it was good comedy, and so I'm try to be really open-minded about comedy because there's been times where, I mean, it could offend anybody, but as a comic, I mean, you're like, it can't offend me because, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. I'm a comedian, like.
And I think what happened, I watch so much comedy where it's like my limit just kept getting further and further of what I accept or what make fun or what would entertain me. It just gets so because you see so much, you get desensitized. You see so much, and so it's like and I was desensitized as a kid.
Okay,
like with music, with like sexual stuff. Like my dad would buy me Two Live Crew CDs. We'd watch R-rated movies like as a kid. So it started early with me. Like my dad was like, oh, there's a movie called The Marlboro Man, like the Harley Davidson or The Marlboro Man and something. It has there was a football player. I forgot his name, but like I remember like those are the movies. Those were like family movies to me, and I didn't like.
Yeah,
it was normal to me, but I didn't realize this is not normal.
And we could go off track. This is so funny, but like growing up too, like my parents didn't know English, so it was funny if they walked by and saw like something, they're like "cambiale," like they're like that's bad, whatever. But if it could say the raunchiest stuff and they would never know what was going on because they didn't really quite understand what was being said. So it was kind of a weird thing with that. But anyway, just growing up in a Hispanic home, but.
Yeah, my mom wouldn't understand anything. Now I think of it. My dad was just crazy. He's wild.
Yeah, he's just a wild guy. Yeah.
So he was like, "This is cool. I'm gonna put you on, so you're gonna like this." And I was like, "Oh, this is Because my dad was a wild. That's where I get. My mom's very calm, and then there's my dad. So I have that wild side from my dad, and then I have that nicer side from my mom.
So is there anything that scares you about fatherhood? Like,
so when I first found out, like financially, like I want to make sure everybody's taken care of. You know what I mean? And before, like you think, when I was single, I was talking to my buddy who's a dad now. We were driving back from the city the other day. He helped me pick up a couch or something for my mom. And then we're talking about just being on the highway, like, and being careful. Like before I didn't care. Like me and him both said we didn't care if we died. Because I was like, man, I'd be driving or doing something. I was like, well, if I die, I'd lived a good life. I'm good. I was like, I was good. You know what I mean? And it's weird for people to say I wasn't depressed or anything when I died. But I felt like I'm good. I'm pretty fulfilled in what I did in my life, and that was fun. But it's like, no, like now it's like, I have a girlfriend. Basically married, but girlfriend, and we're having a kid. So it's like now you think about things where I can't just do whatever I want and like be it. I didn't care. Like we were wild. We both did all kinds of crazy stuff that probably get us killed. But now, so I don't even driving and things like that. Paying attention or doing unnecessary U-turns. I did a light one here, but it was fine. There's nothing much.
Yeah, Indiana, you could do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it was a wide road. It was fine, but stuff like that, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's different, and I'm sure it's gonna hit me more when I have the baby.
Yeah,
somebody.
I would think so, maybe.
But I remember when I first saw it, that was one of the first. And my friend who, his kid's like 5. That hit him. He's like, oh, immediately he's like, I need to be able to support and like that show A Different Money. Like before, I didn't think about that, but it's like, no, how am I gonna make more money. You start thinking more, you start getting focused. So that definitely changed it. Like there was a different focus that kind of keeps you in check. Like
that's cool.
Like decisions that I made, like, all right, how is this going to affect that? Before I didn't care, I was single and I had disposable income, so I did anything.
Yeah, that's true. If you're just fending for yourself, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool.
So like, is there anything like, am I gonna be a good father, or are you kind of just like, hey, I'm gonna be a good father? Like,
yeah, like I feel like I've grown. Look, man, but look, I haven't. Dude, no, I matured. I'm 37. I matured 2 years ago. I'm around 35. I matured because before that I was better. I used to drink, not a lot, but on the weekends, get wasted, allegedly do drugs, and then I had a fall where my friend opened up a bar and I was going all the time with her to support, and it went from supporting to just partying. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then I stopped. So I had a rule where it was like I was only drinking 2 drinks. So I'd go to Mike's. The thing about comedy was during comedy it didn't affect me because comedy I did not drink. Yeah. After my set or after show, maybe I'd have 1 or 2 drinks. Yeah. But I would never drink before. Like I had a moment where I did a show. My friend Paula, she's like, "Have a shot, dude. Have a shot." And I was like, "No." And I had a shot, whatever. I took my shot. I went up to do my set. Sorry. I did my first joke, and then and it was a joke I knew I had pat down, and I kind of stuttered and I forgot something, and I was like, never again. I was like, I'm never drinking again. And I used to smoke. There's a point where I guess I talk fast, and my friend, he was like, "You should smoke," and I was like, before a set, I was like, all right. So I had a vape, and I smoked a little bit, and I hit it a little bit too much, and I got to the show, and I was like nervous. I was like, I can't perform. It was just a mic or something, but it kind of slowed me down. It actually helped me, and I was like, so then I had like a ratio where I was like, all right, I'll do this. But one time I did it, it was too much, and I went the other way. I was at Josephine's in Villa Park. I think they're doing the mic there again, and I was like, at Josephine's in Villa Park. And I told a joke, it didn't hit. And I was like, it was a newer joke. That was like my workout room. Yeah. And I was like, all right, let me do a good joke, get him back. I did that joke, that didn't work. And I was just like, and I've never in my life been on the stage where I was like a deer in head. Like I didn't know what to do. Yeah. And it hit, and I felt like that. Oh, wow. Yeah. And I was like, nope, never again. So it's like caffeine. There's a point where I would do nicotine. Like I smoked cigarettes, or I would get nicotine gum. Yeah. And I would use that before I perform, or even to write sometimes. But now, as long as it's caffeine, I could have caffeine and maybe some waters before. But yeah, I don't drink. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll have a beer, but I'm like sipping it. I mean, just to kind of call, if I feel a little like nervous energy, I'll have just 1 beer, but it doesn't really affect me, as it's okay. I feel like I can get up and it'll be fine. But yeah, shots, that would be a different story. I know I've seen people high, and I saw one person that was high, and I felt like they killed it. And then I saw another person that was high. It was horrible. And then like nobody was laughing. And then halfway through their set, he's like, "I'm so high," and I'm like, "Oh, okay, now I get what's going on, maybe." But my podcast, so maybe did that and kind of.
You told me about that one. Okay, so we've like voice clipped about like relationships too, and people, and so there's that book. He's just not that into you. Okay, so I read that book a long time ago, and it was like a huge aha moment for me, because like all these things that females tell each other about a man is totally wrong.
These like those white people that are like telling you like, "Oh, you're gonna do great," blah blah blah. Sometimes you need a little bit. Sometimes you need something to be like, you know what, you weren't that funny. Like,
yeah. You kind of need the truth sometimes, right? And I mean, I've gotten every excuse in the book for stuff like. I mean, but I grew up in church, so it was kind of like getting married and having kids is like the end all. Like that's like the priority, unfortunately. So like dating was like huge, you know what I mean? Like I was like 16, 17, 18. Like it was just like, what happened? And does he like you? And do you like him? And da-da-da, you know? And there was always this like excuse about like, oh, well, you're probably intimidating him, because like you do so much at the church and you do this and you do that and you're smart and blah, blah, blah. And you're probably intimidating him. And I'm just like, really? Like,
man up, dude.
But like, I mean, I think those excuses are bogus, I mean, maybe, but like, really? Like he can't ask you.
If you are, like, I don't know, move on with somebody else.
I know, like, do I have to dumb myself down to like get a date? Like, it was just weird like things that people would say. And then like some of the points of the book, like I read it and I was just like, oh, like he's not that into you if he's not calling you, which would sound like it's obvious, but then like it's not.
It's like, I always say, this is one of my main advice I give to female friends. It's like, actions. What are the actions? I usually say, like, whatever the words are, ignore them.
Yeah.
Completely ignore them and just look at the actions. Tell me what the actions are. And they're like, yeah, but no, but just my advice is always actions, not words. And that's my like overall. I mean, there's what is it? There's whatever. There's gray areas and everything, but that's the main one. Like, what are the actions? He's like, Christmas. Were you with him? Were you with his family? Where were you? You know what I mean? Like, either he was alone or somebody was. Like, you gotta look at the actions. Like, what's going on? You know. Like, oh, I'm busy. Like, it's busy. Man, I've used all those lines. I'm busy. I'm not ready for a relationship. And you see, and then I'm not ready for a relationship. But like, oh, wait, but then you started dating her. Like, I wasn't ready for a relationship with you, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Like,
and you had that one friend that I guess.
So, I had a few friends, but her friend was like, she wouldn't. She was with a dude. They hooked up, and then.
Is she the same one that was like, I want to have sex with you, but I want this to go somewhere? Was that the same
something
scenario?
Like that? Yeah, something like that. And then it's like I said. Remember, call. The guy would never call. Yeah. Right. There was no phone calls, and then wouldn't hear back in a few days, and it's like, and then you start people like friends. My girlfriends would make excuses like, oh, it's because he's so busy, and he just goes doing that. And again, I'm like, what are the actions? And I tried, and one time, I was like, hey, what a this, like, look, he's not, Yeah. And then they rationalized it, like, real quick. I was like, no, he's not doing this because, he grew up in this type of house, so he's very depressed. He's not used to somebody being so good to him. He's used to girls being bad to him. So by being good to him, he's not used to it. So it's like, that's why he's so distant. I was like, no, he was just trying to, like, that was it. And I've been that. And then, okay, here's one thing where I didn't notice. I would sleep with a girl, and I'd lay there. I'm not lazy, but I don't like driving home. Especially when I'm drinking. So, like, girls would sleep over all the time. Yeah. But I didn't realize that maybe in their head they're taking it a different way.
Like, that meant something. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, it's like, look, I'm just want to go to bed, and I'll take you home in the morning. But that was it. You know what I mean? So I don't, and I talked to, like, female friends, maybe a bit more. And then maybe, like, I'm sleeping there, and they, like, hold me. Is that called cuddling? Is that what cuddling is?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, cuddling. Yeah.
And, I'm just chilling in bed. I was like, all right, I don't care. This is fine. And then, but I didn't realize that. Because then I heard girls and girlfriends be like, oh my God, like somebody was telling me a friend slept with somebody, but then like, but then he held me afterwards.
Oh yeah, cuddling is important.
And I heard that, and I was like, oh no. I was like, no, I used to do that. I don't think it means anything, because then the guy doesn't call you for 2 months. He's like, yeah, but that one time we did sleep with each other, he cuddled with me. Yeah. And then I told her, I was like, no, it was a friend of another friend. I was like, no, I used to do that. I didn't realize I was like. So then it made me think. I was like, oh, maybe I was giving like certain signals, but I didn't realize, because it's like, look, man, I'm trying to go to bed, like, and I just don't want to drive you home right now. Yeah, that was it. Like,
what I mean? Explaining it, a little bit more.
And I don't want to.
I know. And then what do you do? Like, how do you kick them out? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of rude to be like, okay, you got to go, or
and it's like, especially if the other person drinks, I don't want to kick you out. Yeah. And if I picked you up, I don't want to drive. I just right. I'm not into it. I just don't want to risk a DUI. Yeah. And I'm lazy. I don't want to go to bed. And I didn't realize I was doing all this stuff.
Yeah, I could see how that can kind of get. Well, if the girl likes you, then she's thinking, oh, he's okay with me spending the night, and he cuddled me, like that means something, and like And
I'm like, and I'm very nice to people, and I'm nice, and I'm like, I had friends, girls that I would sleep with, I'd be nice, I'm still friendly with them, I'd call, but I wasn't like. That was about it. And, but I remember like nothing was sticking. Mm-hmm. And I was like, he's not responding. Maybe his phone's not working. And I was like, man, you want me to call him? I was like, you want me to call him?
Story.
And then she's like, okay. She called him. The phone wasn't working. I was like, you want me to call him? Because she thought it was something. And I used to do this too. I'll tell you how I used to do it. But like, and then I was like, give me the phone. I called. And I was like, hey. And I was like, oh, is Rachel there or something like that? He's like, oh, no. I was like, okay, wrong number. And I
so
clicked,
he would pick up.
And I clicked over, and I was like, he just picked up. And it hit her, and then she thanked me. She's like, you know what? I needed that. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I needed that. And that sometimes, like, you need, like, he's not.
Yeah, you definitely do. I think, like, especially when you're younger, like, like the brick, you need like the brick hitting you in the head. Like,
because you start, what is it called? Confirmation bias. Like, this is what you want. You want this person. So you start, and I've done it too, where it's like, I was dating some chick, and then my friend was like, you guys don't even talk on the phone. You just text. He's like, that's not, Maybe my Polish friend, he's like, that is not a real relationship, dude. You're very blunt, very blunt. Like, I remember one time we were out with a couple. It was a lesbian couple, and he was like, he looked at him, he's like, you guys are not going to work out. And his girlfriend or his wife, she was like, why would you say that? You're not, dude. You're not. Because, like, some girl walked by, and they're not together, you know, very blunt. And she made some comment, and he was like, why would you say that? And he was like, I would never say about somebody I love. It's like, you're not going to work out. And he has no bed manner or whatever. He was just blunt, and it didn't work out. They're broken up, and he was right, you know what I mean? But he was like, in the moment, he was just like, I don't think you guys are going to work out. You know what I mean? And he would just
interesting.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't.
It's like a sixth sense, but it was kind of like in your face.
And he told me, he was like, that one girl I was talking to, that 28-day relationship. He's like, look, you guys don't even talk on the phone. You text. He's like, this is not a real relationship. It's not going to work. And he was right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Huh?
Because he's looking at what's actually going on. Yeah. Me in my head, I'm like, oh, this is what's really going on. No, she's texting me because, you know, that's how she is.
Right. Oh yeah. I think a lot of times, unfortunately, you want to see what you see, and you want to see what you want, right? What you want it to be. Rationalize it and take the steps and be like, oh, this and this and this. But yeah, it's just like, and I'm done with those conversations with people. Like, well, especially like if I say something, they're like, oh, this and that. But I do have a friend, she's more blunt, and she'll be like, yeah, no. That's not. It's not.
And that's good to have female friends who are blunt, because they're not. Like, I had a friend, her group of friends. There was one girl who was a virgin, and then and she was maybe in her 30s. She was a virgin, and she couldn't drive, right? And
was it like not religious?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't religious or anything. And then, the joke with my friends, like, dude, if this was a group of dudes, there's no way she would still either still be a virgin, or she wouldn't. Like, if this was a group of guys and there was the guy virgin, he'd be like, you know, Tom the virgin, and his friends would make fun of him all the time. He's like, man, you still a virgin? When are you gonna get some, you know, like, man, we gotta get you, like,
would you help a friend that is a virgin to get to like help them out?
Yeah, if he asked for my help, but you know, I'm like at the point where it's like people do what they want to do, and I don't put the energy in, because it's like people are gonna do what they want to do, or they're gonna fix what they want to fix when they're ready to fix it or change it. You know what I mean? I'll put a little bit, but if people, like I said, if they ask me or something, but otherwise, there's only so much. Now that I'm older, like I'm having a kid, I have only so much time and energy. Where I'm not gonna spend
you have to like devote it to that.
Can't fix everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So so you were saying if the guy was a virgin, you'd make fun of him. You'd saying all this
there's no way. And with her, it's like they never bring it up that she's a virgin, that she doesn't drive. And I was like, there's no way that.
What do you mean she doesn't drive? She doesn't drive.
And she doesn't drive. No.
Car? She doesn't have a license. At 30?
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like, I don't know if that's changed or anything like that. But yeah, and then I think that's my phone.
What is that? I mean, why is that?
Well, if it was a group of friends, you'd be like, how come you're not driving? Why aren't you?
Yeah, that's true.
But if female friends, she's like, no, leave her alone.
Yeah, that's true. We're not gonna
they don't bring it up to each other.
Yeah, we're not gonna question her. Make her feel bad.
I would always question, like, why doesn't your friend? I was like, she the chicks? It was something like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And she's like, Liz, Jhovany, you're being an a-hole. Stop, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I want to know. Like, there's something there. You know what I mean? But it's just,
and they probably talk about it behind her back.
Yes,
maybe, right? They're like, I can't believe it. Why? Why
I got to give her a ride again or things like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what I mean?
That's going to be terrible, too.
And that's what women do. It's like, with each other and behind.
It's true.
That's what I like about our guy was very blunt.
Yeah, men are very straightforward to a kill.
It's vicious. Like, it's funny. You know what I mean? So it grows a good skin. I like it.
Yeah. He's not that into you if he only wants to see you when he's drunk. I thought that was an interesting one.
It's the one. Look, I had a 1 a.m. rule. Like,
yeah.
There's girls that I would only text or message. It was never before midnight. You know what I mean?
Oh.
And it was like 1, 2, because
it was you were getting a point across.
No, I wasn't.
Oh.
Like, all right.
Okay.
I wasn't getting a point across. This was happening. There's a girl maybe I want to hang out with that I messaged you at 5 p.m. whatever. Okay, she's not gonna hang out. I'm hanging out with my friends. There's girls at the bar. I'm trying to hang out with them. Okay, that's not gonna hurt. There's a girl. There's the 11 o'clock girl that I want to hang out with. I message her. She's down. By the time I get to 12 or 1, like, think about it. I've already tried to hang out, or maybe I have, or maybe I was already at a chick's house. Didn't work out with 2 or 3 other women, most likely. Okay. So you're 1 a.m. You know?
So if you're 1 a.m., you're like the 5th tier.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Like the first person.
Or you might be second or third, but it's like there were other options. Like before 1 a.m., like I couldn't have texted you.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's no, like my phone wasn't working. Like
right.
I could have texted you.
Yeah, you could have planned it better or whatever.
Or I could have planned you the week before or something like that.
Yeah.
So you got to think about those are the actions. It's like I'm not calling you until 1 a.m. or 12 a.m. Like I'm already, you know, my options are this is all I have left. You know what I mean?
You're
like,
the one.
You're one step before hooker. So like,
oh Jesus, wow. So yeah, that's kind of sad. I don't want to be a 1 a.m. person or a 5 p.m. I want to be call me Wednesday for Saturday.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Or call me Wednesday for. I think there's.
And I was okay with like I had, but some girls like that's. What they were cool. That's what they wanted, or that's where they're in life. They're like, I don't want anything serious. I want to party. I'll hang out with Jhovany at 1 a.m. or something like that. Or we had these girls. We developed a 1 a.m. relationship.
Yeah,
where
they're
that's
friends
when we hung out, or they would even hit me up at 1 a.m. So it got to that.
Okay.
But if you're looking for something more, you get hit up 1 a.m. Like what you don't want to do is you want to be Wednesday to Saturday, and you're 1 a.m.
Yeah,
and believing that you don't want to believe like, oh, I'm not a 1 a.m. person. It's just because he's been so busy that you don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You don't want to
like,
be that person.
He's prioritizing me at 1 a.m.
Yeah,
I'm special.
No, you're not.
Like, it's funny because like this isn't a chapter in the book, but I do think it's so true. Like, because I've talked to girlfriends where they are dating a particular guy, but they're never the weekend girl. Like, he wants to go out with them on a random Tuesday night, on a random Thursday night. It's like never Saturday or Sunday. And it's not about a job. He has got a job or whatever. And it's kind of like, okay, you've never hung out with this guy on a Saturday night or a Sunday night?
Yeah.
Or Friday night?
He has his friends. He has his other girls. Like,
right.
And what did the girls say?
Off.
Did the girls not believe it, or did they realize it?
I think that she realized that. She was telling me once she kind of realized, like, wait a second, you know what I mean? Like, it dawned on her after a while.
Did she ever ask him, like, let's hang out on the weekend or something? But
yeah, and it was always he's busy and he's
not that into you.
He's just not that into you. Yeah, there should be another chapter because it's not. But it's like, it's like pretty obvious. This is a good one. He's not that into you if he doesn't want to marry you. And when I read that chapter, I had a different feeling about it. But yeah, like because I always thought that if a man was like, I don't want to marry you, I felt like he just wouldn't want to marry anyone, right? Like, he just doesn't want to get married. So it's not saying he doesn't want to marry you. He doesn't want to marry anybody.
I mean, I'm sure there's like rare kind of cases of somebody who's very stuck to whatever more, like, I don't know, morals they think they have, or they're like, oh, I'm not a marriage. But at the end of the day, like, no, like I was telling you the other day, I was like, look, man, that was kind of me, like, I'm not really a marriage type. I don't really like posting stuff on posting on social media and things like that because I'm a private person. Lies, no, it's because I'm a scumbag and I don't want people to see that I have a girl, so I can slide their DMs and try to hang out with them or do whatever the hell I was doing. You know what I mean? Or still, and it was like it wasn't it, but like. So that was, I remember I was like, no posting on social media. I don't know if I'm the type who ever get married. I believe in that. But it's like, now it's like, oh, my girlfriend's all over my social media. And I'm like,
that's true. You're showing that off. So everybody knows that.
I was like, I don't like PDA. That's not for me. It's like, no, I was a scumbag. I was a scumbag. That's what it was.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it's like now it's like what, I said the other day, I was like, it's not that I want to get married. I don't want to get married with you. I might not even be realizing it. And maybe I'm thinking about it. It's like, now you like, I'll bring up, was it Khloe Kardashian?
Yeah, is that the one with the one that dated Lamar?
Okay, the other one. Michelle, I don't know.
Oh God. Okay, so there's Kim, right? She's like the queen, I guess.
The other one.
And then there's Khloe, and then there's Kourtney.
Kourtney Kardashian.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. She was with Disick. Scott Disick.
She was with Scott Disick, and like I saw a lot of girls post this on their social media, where like, oh, she was with Scott for like all these years, back and forth, whatever, and now she got with Travis Barker.
Yeah.
And then within whatever, it's like they're already engaged, already gonna get married.
Yeah.
Like my girl, I was with other people, and it was there, and it was not, and it was back and forth, but it was like, it was right away. You know what I mean? Like, I think within a week, we basically moved in together. Like, I was kind of over the house, and I was there. I was like there all the time. It was quick.
Yeah.
Like, she told me she knew like basically on the first day, and I knew pretty right away.
Okay.
I said the L word first,
so
I got her on that.
Okay.
I threw it.
How long did it take you to say the L word to her? Which means
a
love
week
people.
or two. Yeah, I grew up. I wasn't hugged as a child, literally, and we didn't say the L word to each other, so it was tough for me to say it.
So this is a real big deal.
Yeah, like I don't, you know what I mean. I say it now. Like right now, I'm weird about it. Like I'm saying the L word.
Oh yeah, that's why you didn't say love.
I literally am uncomfortable saying it.
That's funny. I'll say it for you.
I can say it to her. I say it all the time. I get on the phone and look, I L you.
Oh, okay.
That sounds kind of weird, but
you say I L you?
No, I say the actual word. I can't say it right now because I'm a weirdo. And I probably need therapy.
That's okay.
But I just,
that's all right. We'll ease you into using it.
I medicate with drugs, but anyways, but no, I said it. I remember I said it, and then she after. I said it first, but where she tells me she has, he's like, you said it first, but I realized first. I was like, all right, this guy's it. This is the guy I want to be with. She realized it before me. I didn't. It took me a few days later. She gave me some salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah, you told me that. It all happened with salt and pepper shakers.
Yeah, that
That's bizarre.
Over. Yeah.
Okay, so but you were like, you liked her, right? You were like, what were you thinking about, like, first, second, third date? Were you like, I mean, I don't know when the salt and pepper shaker thing happened, but like, were you like, this is something? Or was it just when the salt and pepper shaker
So what happened was we hung out on our first date, right? Mm-hmm. And again, I already had it lined up. I had her at the proper date at around 7 or 8 p.m. And I had another girl lined up after her to go have drinks with that I was going to try to sleep with. So I already had my plan, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, I had my 8 p.m. and my 11 p.m. maybe if I have time.
Okay. And how did you meet Jessica?
Social media.
Okay.
She was people like on the bottom she was on my people I should know. So we had some mutual friends.
Oh,
so so I used to say like people I should know was either people that I want to F or people that I want to come to a show. You know what I mean? That was people like there was a point on Facebook, basically, I added you as a friend if I think you could come to a show, you were family or an actual friend, or wanted to sleep with you. That was kind of that was how my social media. That was my dating app.
Whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So then I met her, and I started messaging her. I didn't realize that it was like a year before I started my first time I messaged her.
Oh.
But she showed me. It's like, yes, you did, and I was like, oh, really? Yeah, I didn't remember this one. Some Jocko video or something. She was working out. I was like, oh, look at this motivational video, and then here and there, and then, you know, I think I told you my strategy. Like, I would see there was a picture she posted, maybe with her son, heart, or maybe a comment, and then slowly, you know, here and there, and I built up on that, and then finally, and I remember she posted, I think it was on her Snapchat, like, she posted a complaint about, like, dating, how difficult it was. She's like, oh, like, everybody sucks. And I saw it, and I was like, damn it. And I didn't want to hang out with her. Because in my back of my head, I was like, man, she seems cool and I like her, but she seems like I would like her, and I kind of don't want that. You know what I mean?
You were being avoidant of that.
Yeah, and I remember I saw it, and I was like, so I kind of avoided messaging her. I would message here and there, but not as far as actually hanging out. I was like, oh yeah, this and that, because I didn't. Because I was like, I remember, I was like, I'm gonna go on a roll, because I was single. I just got a new car, and I was like, man, I'm about to tear it up. And I was like, I don't want this. But then she posted something. I was up late working on the podcast, and then she was out with her friends. I think she was the third wheel, and she puts a snap, and I message her on Snapchat. Do you guys use Snap? Am I
you
the
know
only
what?
one?
I have Snapchat, but I'm terrible at it.
Okay.
I voice clip one friend because he likes to do Snapchat, and so we voice clip back and forth, and that's all I use it for.
Okay.
That's the only reason I have it for. And I mean, he's a good enough friend. I guess I have it, but yeah, I don't really. I'll look at other people's pictures, or videos or whatever, but I really don't post anything ever.
I get made fun of for using Snap. It's like, I use it. Leave me alone.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's like, you're too old. You shouldn't be using it. But
really?
I use it. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say.
Like James is like,
it's kind of hip to use Snapchat.
But I like it.
Yeah.
I don't like people having my phone number. You know. So when I would meet a girl, I'd be like, what's your Snap?
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't. To me, my phone number is like close friends, and then close friends, or like, I got to that level with you where I'm gonna hang out with you.
Yeah.
I'll probably get your phone number.
Okay.
But no, I remember it was like, I sent her a snap, and then she was out, and I was like, all right. Oh, she was talking to me and another guy at the time, right? And the other guy, she met on some dating app, and the guy had no car, lived with his mom, and he was like, hey, can we meet? Yeah. He was like, can you pick me up for their first date? And she was like, no.
Yeah.
No.
That's awesome.
You learn. Don't pick people up. Yeah.
I had a rule after a bad situation that I would never pick up a guy anymore for dates.
They tried to move in with you like the first day?
Well, okay, first I had my ex-boyfriend that didn't have a car. Okay. So for 5 to 6 years or however I was the driver, you know. And it just gets old. Like, you have to pick him up for everything, take him back for everything. And I mean, and he He lived in Berwyn when we first started dating.
Berwyn,
yes. And then he moved. He kept moving around. I mean, he got close enough to Indiana, which was cool. But then, like, he was always back in Chicago, and it's just like, and after that situation, and then that taught me to tell this other guy that was trying to date me. He was actually like the cousin of a guy that my best friend was dating, and I actually liked the guy my best friend was dating. But yeah, so he talked to me and everything, and so we exchanged numbers, whatever. He invited me to a concert, but I drove myself to the concert. But I mean, I was like, well, I do live in Indiana.
At least you met him, right? You didn't have to pick him up.
All right. I didn't have to pick him up. I met him there. He was late, which just drives me crazy. I don't like lateness. So I had to wait like 30 minutes, but he was coming with a bunch of people. Then that was really stupid too, because he kind of had me. I was like, oh, he got me concert tickets because I love concerts. Then he was like, for some stupid reason, he told me that he got the tickets for free. Like somebody gave it to him. Yeah. And I remember telling a guy friend about that. He goes, he's being honest, Susanna, you want him to lie? I go, dude, but like in my brain, like I thought he bought these tickets, and I was like, oh, how cool. And then to know that he got them for free, I was like, that kind of spoiled it.
Did you ask him, or he just
offered that information. Yeah, I never asked him. And I mean, it wasn't an expensive concert. It was actually like a Spanish like rock band, but I can't remember now what it was. But it was similar to like, oh man, the one with the little smiley face. It's not Nirvana, but like it's Spanish. Do you know Spanish rock?
I just know Maná, and there's another one. El Tri, is that I know Maná.
Soda Stereo, right? There's Soda Stereo, right? Well, it's kind of like a band that was in that era. And I mean, I didn't follow them, but it was pretty cool, going, whatever. Yeah, and then he said that, and I was like, oh, killed it. Well, at any rate,
yeah, because it's like, hey, I actually don't really value you because these are free.
Yeah, like, why would you say that, right? And so then time went on, and like we started talking on the phone, whatever. And then he's like, I want to hang out with you, but like, can you pick me up? And I was like, done with, and I was like, no, I cannot pick you up. I will meet you somewhere, but I can't pick you up. So then we ended up meeting in Orland Park. And I guess his cousin had dropped him off, the same cousin, Mm-hmm. And we ended up going to eat. I think I told you that, where I ate by myself. He didn't eat, which was really weird. And then he paid for that. Yeah, he's like, I'm not hungry. I don't know if he didn't have the money. So he paid for that.
Didn't have the money.
And then we went to, since I had my car there, I did drive him to the movie theater, but it was only like a couple blocks. I was fine with that. I was fine. I was going to let him walk. So we went to the movie theater. I know that would be weird, right? I don't give any rights at all. You're going to walk.
You're behind him honking the horn, just hitting the back of his leg. So, hurry up. Get, boy. Sorry.
You were walking way too slow. So we got there, and I can't remember what movie it was, but I got the 2 tickets. He didn't know enough English. I ordered the 2 tickets. And then he just stood there, like no movement of wallets, no movement of anything.
I have an opposite story of that. I'll tell you in a second.
Like, okay, I guess I'm paying for this, right? So I paid. And then we go in, and we watch the movie. And, oh no, we were early. We were early for the movie. The movie we wanted to see was sold out. And so we had to wait. And I was like, oh my God, I got to sit here an hour and a half. The conversation was not, it was okay. Like, he was just okay in a lot of areas. Like physically, I was attracted to him like in an okay status, right? And then he didn't have a car, so that was not okay. and then the conversation was just okay. So it was just kind of like I was already like on the fence. So his cousin calls me or calls him and puts me on the phone or whatever, and he's like, "Hey, I'm at the airport. I'm picking up my parents. They came from Mexico, whatever. Please do me a favor. Like after the movie, like, can you bring them to my place?" And I'm like, look, I didn't really want to drive them. I thought you were going to pick them up. He's like, yeah, but I'm not going to be able to be there and this and this and that. And I can't remember because Orland Park is here, and I felt like I just went straight line opposite Indiana forever. And I want to say it was like, was it Bolingbrook? Does that make sense? Or it was a B word.
Bolingbrook is west.
Okay.
Maybe.
It was a B word. I don't know if it's Bolingbrook or...
Bolingbrook. It reminds me of a guy.
No, it wasn't Batavia. I don't know.
Bolingbrook reminds me of a guy who used to play for the Bears, and we hung out with him one time, and he was like, man, my name held weight in Bolingbrook. And he was like, I used to have all his money and blah, blah, blah. And he was like, I just remember this real quick. He was like, but I don't fight. I ain't the fight, because we saw a fight. We're at this bar. He was with a girl we were hanging out with. He said, I don't fight. blah, blah, blah. That's not me. And like an hour later, he got into a fight with some dude, and he was at his Fossil watch.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so I'd sound like he blew his money. But anyways.
Yeah, well, anyway, yeah, this guy. So, yeah, we went. And so then, honestly, when that happened, I was like, this is the last time I'm going to see this guy. Like, that was just such a turnoff. So he was like, oh, come in to see my artwork. Because, he would draw and stuff. So I felt terrible not. So I was like, yes, okay, I'll come see your artwork. So I went in and, saw his artwork. And then his cousin was there. We ended up drinking. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was good artwork. It just wasn't like, I mean, he had like a lot of women in bikini. I was like, okay, dude, like this isn't really, I don't know, superheroes, stuff like that. And he had like done like, Myers of art. He had painted these leaves. You know how like people have recessed lighting? He had painted these leaves to connect the recessed lighting on the ceiling. It was different. I don't think I would do it at my house, but it was cool. It was nice, So his cousin was there. We're talking, whatever. And I mean, yeah, I was just like done. But yeah, he had called me. He was the one that was like, everybody's getting married. What about us? And I'm like, what? Like we've only hung out. It was after that first day.
Like, yeah, one time. There was one time.
Yeah, I think it was after one time or something. I was like, gosh, we've only hung out like a little bit. I mean, he would call me a lot and talk, but still. And he's like, yeah. He goes, I can move in with you. And I was like, okay, what is going on right now? Like. And he cleaned chimneys, which like I don't think he ever cleaned. Like I don't know if he was working or not. It was just bad. I was just like, yeah.
So it was like I said, it was between me and the guy who didn't have a car. So the guy was
you
like,
went out.
It was she on one side. She had this guy messaging her where he was like, hey, can you pick me up? And actually my mom's gonna be home and like all this stuff. So maybe we can hang out here, but my mom's gonna be home. And then I messaged her and I was like, I said something very kind. I was like, what are you doing tomorrow? I was like, you know what? If you could eat any food, what could you have? She's like, seafood. I was like, all right, I'll pick you up tomorrow.
That was a really good question.
Yeah. And I was like, I'll pick you up tomorrow at 7. We're going to go get sushi. And that was it. We had a date. Okay. And we had that first date. And then we hung out. It went well. And then we went to this bar called the Ron's Place in Kenosha that she would hang out. We hung out there. And there I got more comfortable because of music. Really.
Yeah.
The sushi place, they have paper straws. And I hate paper straws more than not anything in the world. But they're so stupid.
Yeah.
No.
They kind of wither away right away.
Yeah, it doesn't make it. That's the worst thing to use as a straw ever.
Yeah.
And
that is true.
Yeah. I don't care about your turtles. So then, and she loved that about the straw. She told me how angry and passionate I got at the time. I liked her. She loved it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The straw thing. But then they gave my drink. My whiskey was with a paper straw.
Oh yeah,
like what are you doing?
It's like
stay consistent then.
Yeah,
and you're saving the seafood. We're eating We're eating the fish.
That's
right
true.
Now. Like
right? Yeah.
Your seafood place, and we're eating. You probably serve Toro. It's a Japanese place. Like stop, just stop. Trying to virtue signal. But anyways, we hang out. It was cool. But the next she's a son. The next one she had her son.
Okay.
So that girl that I was supposed to hang out with after her, I canceled her, and I was like, oh, my niece, my mom. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That next day, that was a Saturday, next Sunday, I had to do a podcast in Rockford called Daily Insomnia.
Oh,
those guys, my podcast comes out in a few weeks after I record, so I have a buffer zone before people get mad at me. You know what I mean? So, like, if people listen to it, I have a little buffer zone.
Okay.
Especially if I'm talking to a girl, I'll say what I want. She's not going to hear it for 3 weeks.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's my buffer zone.
Okay.
And then, but that they released the next day, so I recorded Sunday. It came out the next day, and I talked about what happened. I went on a date. I really liked this girl, but then I was supposed to hang with some other day, and I blew her off.
Oh my goodness.
The girl I blew off messaged me, "Oh, so you blew me off for some other chick?" And I was like, yeah, sorry about that. And she's
oops.
Like, I was like, oops. She's like, I don't care. Just, just don't waste my time. Be honest with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you doing this weekend? So we hung out Friday. So now in my head, I was like, all right, she already knows what happened. So I'm getting laid. This is my head.
Okay. Because you're like, she didn't get upset enough to not see you.
And she still wants to hang. So it's like, all right, this is what it's going to be. And then I hung out with her and I told her about stuff that I do. Or I used to do, allegedly, right?
Allegedly, yes.
Yeah. And then that next day we hung out again. And then I might have done this stuff around her, go to the bathroom to do whatever I was doing. And she was like, my sister said you were going to the bathroom. What were you doing? I was like, well, yesterday when you asked me, it's like, do you do any illicit things? And I was like, and I told her, yeah, actually, I do it on the weekends and sometimes during the week if I'm working on my podcast. And then, so then I was like, yeah, I was like, we just had this conversation yesterday. And she's like, I can't believe you disrespected me in front of my family and blah, blah, blah. You look at him, punch you in the face. And I got home, she was messaging, I'll destroy your life. A few days later, she messaged me. She was like, sorry, I usually don't get like that. And I was like, whatever. And then that really scared me. Did she get some
residue of whatever you left?
She was white. And the first time I hung out with a white chick, she had like deep blue eyes. And I remember like when I was drinking and I was looking at her eyes, I was like, oh my God. this is amazing. I've never been with a really and I called my friend and was like, you know what? I'm done with Hispanic chicks. Only white women, blah, blah, blah.
God, with color
An hour
eyes.
later, after all that, I was like, never again. You know, I was like, that was it. Because I had a rule. No white women. And then, and I was like, and that really scared me. And that was that Sunday. So then that Monday, me and Jessica hung out. And then maybe slept together. And then I didn't see her for Tuesday. And then Wednesday, I hung out with her again. And I basically haven't left ever since that Wednesday.
Wow. So when did she give you the salt and pepper shakers?
Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday. So Monday I recorded with Vince Acevedo.
Okay.
Right? Funny Chicago comedian.
Interesting. It was right away.
Yeah, and I went to, or something like that. No, Wednesday I recorded with him. I went, we hung out, and the next day was New Year's Eve. And then I remember like we're gonna hang out on New Year's Eve or New Year's Eve.
Okay, so this is 2021.
What year are we in now?
We're in 2022. So this was 2020, no? New Year's Eve 2020, because New Year's Eve 2021 just happened. Oh, maybe not. Maybe it is this early, this soon.
So this,
No,
so this January, December 31st or January 1st was our, I think it was basically one of those 2 days. Our 1 year official.
Okay, yeah. So this was
anniversary.
December 31st of 2020 when this happened, where you were.
Oh yeah, that was COVID. Yeah, that was because if it wasn't for COVID, I probably would never have met her or dated because I was just like comedy. That was it. You know what I mean? So yeah,
interesting.
We hung out New Year's Eve, and I was gonna get her a gift, and my friend's like, I should get her a gift. He's like, no. Don't get her a gift. He's a player. He's like, and he's a whole different life that's nothing like mine. And now I know, like, all right, we're different people. He's like, don't get her a gift. Actually ghost her and let her hit you up on Saturday. You know, all these strategies and stuff.
Yeah, I hate the games, man.
And
the games
like,
suck.
Yeah, his life is stressful. He lives all those games. And it's stressful to watch. And it's like, I'm not doing all that. And I was like, nope. I got her like a gift.
Oh, I'm glad you didn't listen to him.
Yeah, and then she went to breakfast that one of those days that I stayed over, and then we were at a place where they had these little salt and pepper shakers, and I thought they were the coolest things. I've never seen them, and I was like, oh man, these are so cool. I really like these, whatever. And then she went and she's white, so she bought them. She didn't steal them, so she went, she bought them, and then they were there. And I remember there's a video of it or something. She put up that video of me. I don't know if you saw it.
Like recently?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll show you. I think it's on our TikTok. And then like I remember like I opened it. I was like, oh, and I was like, that was it. Like I almost cried when I opened the thing. And I was like, I love her. You know what I mean? When I saw the things, I was like, this is it. You know what I mean? And then I never left after that. And then Monday, I won't get too explicit, but basically Monday we had a conversation. I was like, hey, so I don't like using condoms, so what's going on with other people and blah, blah. And then we kind of like, and then like a day or two later, I think we got into a fight, but then at the end of the night, it was Facebook official, like, and like December 31st or 1st, you know, because it started with me. I was like, look, she asked me, so are you going to sleep with other people or kind of what's going on? And I was like, if you are, you need to wear condoms. And I was like, well, I don't want to do all that.
Wow, that's interesting. She's like, if you are...
But she was very direct about it, you know what I mean? Because like we both had our little rotations, we had our things that we had going on. Yeah. And then she was like, you know, if I sleep with somebody new, I usually get tested within 2 weeks. And I was like, have you been tested? And I was like, what's that? Like,
tested? Who developed a test?
I was like,
wait a second.
I was like, what you talking about? Like, people get tested? I was like, I'm good, I'm clean. Yeah. I mean, I did get tested once because I sold my blood because I needed money for like a gift for a girl. So I went to go sell
like
plasma.
Your plasma?
Test
I heard about that recently. One of my friends is doing that.
And then she was like, what? Like, you don't get tested? I was like, you heard the podcast, right? Like, you shouldn't. She's like, okay. You got me there. And then.
Wow. So you got tested for her?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
I get, what is it? Suburban tested where she gets tested and it's like, you don't have anything? All right. I don't got nothing. Good. You know, that's how it works.
Oh, it like just by association.
I think she got tested, and then you got nothing. Okay, I'm good too. I think that's Suburban.
I guess so, right? Because if she had gotten tested and she had something, then that meant you had it. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
We had it. But
we had a testing, and we had this, and we had a baby.
So she was good.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that is interesting. It just happens so fast.
Anybody listening, you know, relationships are up and down. Like, our social media is great. Oh, we love each other, but we get into fight. Like, you gotta.
You're being
don't
realistic.
believe what you see on social media.
Yeah,
we're not posting about the time where I'm chasing her through Kenosha. My car runs out of battery. You know what I mean? Like, or getting a fight over Conor McGregor. Like, that stuff's not getting posted.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah. That's good that you say that.
I want people to know, like, relationships are tough, you know.
Yeah.
Pretty
you
good.
Have to work at them.
You're always getting fights. It's going to happen. People know you sometimes, and you're like, all right. You get to those points.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, it's work.
But that's good. I'm glad you found, like, the one, and, like, she kind of, like, tamed you somewhat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, in the dating arena anyway. But yeah, it's really super cool. But yeah, I love that you said that about social media, because I see that a lot too. Like if you have a depressed day or you feeling down and you look at social media, you feel like your life is like terrible. But there is, I've seen that time and time again. I won't say who, but people are like,
I'll say this,
my wonderful person and this and that, and then it's like I just called the girl yesterday.
In my case, I was like,
about him.
Yeah, in my case is like I just slept with that girl. You know what I mean? My old case. You know what I mean? That was me. I was like,
wow.
That I would see it. So that's why I don't believe social media, because I was on the other side. I was like, oh, I just slept with you, or my friend just slept with you, and it's like,
oh wow.
Because, you know, so I would see it, and I was like, whatever. I don't know my place, or
don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah, and it's like I don't. It's none of my business. You know what I mean? Like I was single forever. It's like, all right, that's what you do. But like, the next day I remember, oh, this is my rock. This is whatever. I was like, all right. We were 2 apartments down. You psychopath. She was a stripper somewhere here in Indiana.
Oh,
I don't know where.
God. How crazy. So baby's coming what? Like less
March
than a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And today's February 20 something.
Yeah. 20
2 weeks and 3 days.
And I joke around that you're having the baby on my birthday, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
What was your birthday?
March 12th.
You're 12.
It's close.
My grandma's like the 18th or something like that. So that's what my mom wanted. So it's close. Yeah.
Do you have anybody like putting bets down when she's going to have the baby?
No. Oh yeah, you like to gamble. I forgot. Let's not forget. The casino.
Actually, I only go when I'm invited. Okay, let me get that straight. But I do have a car, so I do drive myself there. Nobody has to take me. But yeah, I mean, I had a lucky streak after that show. Like I did that comedy show February 5th. I went out with my friend at the Blue Chip, and I made like close to $200, like on a slot machine. And it was so weird because I was like, I'm gonna leave. Like I'm gonna leave, and I'm like one more, and then like the spin wheel, whatever that spin wheel is, and then it just it hit Lincoln.
I'm not shaking, but I get an itch to go. I gotta go home.
Yeah,
after
we
this,
can't talk about
but
this.
I'm getting an itch. I
we
get
can't
itches.
Talk about gambling.
See, I used to have the booze itches where like I can handle booze, which is weird. Which I don't recommend. Some people go on the program and don't drink at all. Like I'm fine. I don't get the craving, but like right now. I always said I was a viceaholic. If it wasn't booze, like I had to fill it with something. So right now I want to go.
I have to be careful because I feel like my dad gene is in there probably. It's in the DNA.
Yeah,
he loved to gamble. So I was like, And the other day, where was I coming from? Oh, it was last night. I went to Indianapolis for Imagine Dragons, and I was driving back home, and I passed the Hard Rock, and I was like, man, I could stop. And I was like, don't do it. Like, really, it's like 12:15 and it was really late.
It's hard when the temptation is close. Like,
yeah.
I used to do some stuff that was, you shouldn't do, but there's one website shut down. It was one of the greatest things that happened. It was called Backpage. But when that shut down, honestly, I was like, oh, it made things a lot easier because I didn't have access.
Yeah, then you didn't have access. I heard some really bad things about Backpage. There was like some documentary on it or something that it just was really
and that's what I heard about it. It was the lady
there.
who did the documentary was on Joe Rogan. I was like, she was like, yeah, in the Backpage, and I was like, what's that? And I looked it up, and then it ruined my life for like a year and a half. But see, I went the opposite. Likes horror, but I was like,
yeah, it's like, oh, don't do that. Oh, really? Okay, now I'm gonna go do it.
I just heard something the other day, and I was like, what is that? And I was like, I didn't even hear about it. Like that Guns N' Roses song that I never heard about.
I know. I need to hear that when you're talking.
1 in a million, right? And I was like,
well, they get heat with like It's So Easy, and they got some like not rapey songs, but It's So Easy when everybody's
this one has N-word with
trying
a hard
to
R.
please me.
This one has a hard R N-word in it and stuff.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
really?
it's like immigrant inside.
I should know that because I love Guns N' Roses.
Because I was watching the Slash thing. He's like, in this song, 1 in a million, him and Slash were arguing about it, but it's still released. And I was like, it said some racist things. Like, what did they say? I just listened to it on the way up here. I was like, oh man, they were kidding. Like,
wow. Yeah. I do feel a little bit differently about Axl because he's not my favorite. But now that you said he grew up in an abused home life, I have a little bit more compassion for him.
That's usually addiction stuff. That's where it comes from. It's you're not addicted to the substance, but you have a childhood trauma. I forgot what doctor said this, but you have a childhood trauma, and then you're just trying to cope with it.
It really does mold who you are in a lot of ways. And I read Slash's book, so then I got his side of the story and all of that. But anyway, I think we gotta I don't know. We're at an hour, almost an hour 20.
let's do something that I never like doing. Wrap it up.
I know I could sit here and talk to you for like 3 hours and do like a whole Rogan episode. But yeah, thanks so much for coming out, man. I really, really appreciate you being on the TalkativeChic Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being my friend, because I do consider you a friend.
Thank
just
you,
like
friend.
Yeah,
I get a little weird and uncomfortable.
I know. I never try to tell you that, because the first time I'm like, thank you for being my friend. You're like, this makes me really uncomfortable. Don't tell me that. But yeah, you know, it's just nice to have people in comedy that are kind and nice. I mean, I have a lot of people that have been very kind and nice. I've had more of that than the snubs, you know. But yeah, so it's really just cool, like shooting the stuff with you. So
thank
really
you for
cool.
having me on.
All right, thanks, Jhovany.